picked up our 2018 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon a little over a year ago, one of the things that drew us to this specific model was the fact that it had the less expensive plastic bumper group. We knew the aftermarket was going to come out with a slew of front bumper options, and that would give us the opportunity to get what we wanted and sort of personalize the vehicle in our own way. Now, over the course of the year, we've done a handful of modifications, but nothing real extreme. It's now running a 35 by 1250 Knitter Ridge grappler, and we mounted it on a 17 by 9 Venom Rex 501 series bronze wheel. We like the look, we like the fact that we haven't had to lift the vehicle, and overall, it's worked very well for our needs. Now, we do have a Taser JL on it that's taking care of a couple other issues that we had, and that's about it. It's a pretty basic build. Finally, though, we are ready to get rid of this stock front bumper. Cosmetically, it drives me crazy for the fact that the Rubicon comes with the Highline fenders and there's this weird gap here. I just don't like it visually, and I'm a stubby front bumper guy. I like the fact that I want to get as much tire in front of that obstacle as I can without worrying about a bumper hanging out in the way. So today we're going to be upgrading this thing with a front bumper from Expedition 1. I like this company. They've made really cool bumpers in the past. They do full armor for Jeeps and trucks, and you can get full-size Ram tire carriers, lots of cool stuff. But I was drawn to their stubby front bumper when they launched it at SEMA. I waited, they're shipping it, and now I have one, and I'm pretty excited to show you why I think this may be the best JL front bumper you can get. To get started to remove the front bumper, all you'll need is a flathead screwdriver and an 8mm ratchet drive. First, we're going to knock out this front upper valance, which all you'll need is the flathead screwdriver to knock out the two clips. Then you have an assortment that run along the bottom side of the bumper, which you can use a screwdriver or a small trim tool to knock out. Then you'll take your 8mm, knock out these two bolts at the bottom, and now you'll have access to all of the frame horn bolts. Those are 18mm, which it's a little difficult to get in with an air gun, so you're probably going to have to do this install by hand. Thankfully, it's a pretty easy job to do at home, so let's get started. Jeep did a pretty smart job by making it where there's only one plug for your fog lights. Now, we're not going to be reusing our LED fog light, so all we'll need to do is come here, press the clip, unplug it, and we can discard it with the rest of the bumper. Using a 5/8 socket, your next step is to remove these inner braces and discard them. Now, you're going to reuse that bolt to attach this bracket from Expedition 1. Note, it does have two mounting positions, so if you want the bumper a little higher or a little lower, you can do it. Now, we're going to go with the higher mounting position, which is the lower bolt hole. Technically, we're ready to go ahead and install the front bumper, but before we do so, I wanted to show you a few things. Now, once the bumper's on, we're going to use these nut plates to bolt the front bumper onto the frame horns. Now, all of the holes are large enough except for this one on the driver's side, so we're going to have to drill it out a little bit to make getting this bolt in a bit easier. There's also an additional bracer bracket that goes out here. It's going to be hard to see. It mounts again with the secondary hole to make it for the high mount for the bumper. We like that we have all this hardware securing the front bumper, and we're not going to tighten anything until we get it all up and secure, and then make sure that it's level and everything looks great. To tighten the front bumper, we started with the 4 frame horn nuts on each side. Now, this got the bumper nice and square, then we were able to jump inside to the winch tray, get that tight, and then finally the exterior support wings. If you go through the trouble of putting a winch on the front of your four-wheel drive, you might as well make it a good one. This is a Warren Xeon 10S. I've been using the Xeon series for the past few years now, and they've sort of become my go-to. I like how fast they spool, I like that it still takes a conventional plug-in style remote, and the cast aluminum housing isn't extremely heavy. It has the Spydura 3/8 synthetic rope. I like the rope, especially on something like this where we're trying to watch the weight a little bit better. Now, one small issue we did find was the fact that the winch is hitting the frame horn on the driver's side. Now, I've marked this with a Sharpie. I'm going to pull the winch back out and we're going to grind a little bit so this thing can sit flush inside of the winch tray. Now, to get the winch working, all you'll need to do is route the ground lead and the positive lead to the battery. Now, I highly recommend removing this 10mm bolt in the top of the air intake so you can actually remove the air box. Now, it only sits in here with 3 little grommets. Now, what that's going to allow you to do is easily route the wires so you know they're not going to hit any engine components or rub on anything that they don't need to. Now, the last thing we added on was this optional skid plate from Expedition 1. Just like the top, it came with a textured black powder coat finish and bolted right on with just 4 bolts. Now, it's more of a decorative piece even though it is 3/16 steel, just like the top portion of the bumper. If you didn't have it there, you'd see the unsightly frame horns. Now, for guys that have a Rubicon such as ours and you're curious about not getting this piece and just clocking the sway bar disconnect motor, we tested this and yes, it will work. Now, that's still going to leave you these unsightly frame horns that you're going to want to cut, and so if you want to get into that, you can, or if you just want a nice bolt-on fit and finish bumper, this is what we did. Aside from the optional tubular grill guard and LED mounting holes, everything else you see comes standard on this front bumper. This includes the 1-inch thick shackle mounts and high lift jack mounting points up front. Now, a big draw for us for this front bumper, and why we feel like it stands out above many of the competitors, is the fact that the winch does sit down inside of the frame rails. We like this because it doesn't block the grill. Now, we've never had any overheating issues with our JL, but we will tell you, off-road, the fan is loud and it runs continuously. Now, the other big draw is the fact that it is a stubby front bumper, so we don't have anything in front of the front tires, making it where we have a better approach angle off-road. Yes, with this added weight, we did notice the front of the Jeep went down about 1/2 inch. Not so much that we would want to add a spacer to it, but something that's worth mentioning. Now, we do have a rear bumper upgrade that's going to be coming soon that'll hopefully take care of our rattle and a little bit of an issue that we're having out back. We're going to be showing you that in a later video, so be sure to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and visit drivingline.com to stay up to date for all of our latest adventures and JL build.